Today's guest is another dear friend of mine who I had the pleasure of meeting through a theatre program
That's right.
many moons ago. She is also a super planner when it comes to travel, and that is why she is our guest for today.
Yay!
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome M on the Move.
Thank you, everybody.
This is the perfect time for you to plug what you do.
Oh, hello. I am a clinical psychologist by day, and as Tiara mentioned, I'm a super planner / traveler by morning, noon, night, midnight, 3 a.m. in the morning, you name it. I also pet sit bunny, so if you're looking to leave your bunny somewhere when you're on holiday, I'm the person that you look for. I've been traveling since I was, I think, 8 months old. I think that was the first trip that I've done. And it's just become an addiction ever since. You know, what can I say? My mom set me up this way. And I will be leaving for Singapore soon. Got a CP job there, so gonna be a proper clean psych. And now with SGD, I can't wait to travel even more.
Annual leave will be cleared by January.
That's right.
So, M, what is the most recent trip you've been on?
Okay, so over the Christmas, New Year, early Jan period, I went to Europe, properly Europe for the first time in my entire life. It was a very impromptu trip. The whole trip was about like 15 days with travel and stuff because we're trying to save money, which I'll talk more on later. But we did 12 whole days in Budapest, Bratislava, Vienna, Prague, Salzburg. We went to 5 stops. Technically Shanghai as well. I did like a 13-hour layover there.
My mind is just stuck on the point where you said it was an impromptu trip.
Yeah, relatively impromptu actually. Yeah, we had no intentions of going. We left on the 27th of December.
Okay.
But practically, let's just say around early November was when I decided, okay, let's do this trip. Or maybe mid-November, right? I think almost every single day from when we decided, yeah, we're doing this, to maybe like 2 weeks before we left for the trip, I would put in at least like 5 to maybe even 12 hours a day, just sitting in front of my computer, opening all my Excel sheets and trying to get everything together so that we have a good time.
I think you're in the wrong business.
I know. Yeah.
Someone needs to hire you pronto.
Okay, my boss, I hope, no, I love working with you. I can't wait to start my new job as well. Don't fire me yet. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Another reason why I thought it would be really cool to have you on is because you describe yourself as a bougie budget traveler. Can you explain what that means?
So, bougie budget travel is you are still getting the comforts that you want from a trip, right? But at the same time, you're not wasting money on things that don't necessarily bring any joy to you. It's like, okay, for example, I would love to stay in a 5-star hotel and I would love to post very nice pictures of me in a bathtub sipping champagne, right? That would be bougie. But we don't do that. We settle on maybe like a 3 to 4-star hotel, or in the case of our Europe trip, we stayed in 4-star hotels throughout. So it's kind of like bougie in that sense, but we're also budget. Because we're not going to go all out and splurge on other things, right? Or when it comes to food, we're going to balance it out. We're going to have nice meals some days. We're going to go to restaurants that we were genuinely really excited about, not just something that is a huge hype on the internet and it costs like 50 euros for one plate of food. So it's really all about balance, you know. It's finding what's most important to you. It's being comfortable, not sleeping out of your bag in an airport, but also not splurging way beyond your means. So it still comes down to your budget, but I think it's, just focusing on what you want to do and being comfortable, not skimming too much, but also not being extravagant.
How do you start planning for a trip with budget in mind? Because a lot of things you don't know, right? When you go to you have to go to a place to know like how much it costs.
This is something that everyone says that I'm actually insane to do. Okay, so first of all, we obviously come up, me and my husband, we usually travel together. So we come up, first of all, with how much we want to put aside. Okay, so let's just say, for example, with the Europe trip that we had, we said, okay, we need this money for A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, so how much money do we have left to go on a trip? Okay, we decide, all right, we're going to do 7,000 per person, which, by the way, yes, we did 12 days, 11 nights in Europe for 7,000 per person, which is pretty good, I think. And then after that, we just make it work. right? So how do you make it work? A lot of it really comes down to the research. For my husband and I, one of the most important things when we travel, regardless of where we're going, is the food, because we are foodies. So I would spend lots of time just going through restaurants on Google, literally looking at the menus. And I've learned, okay, prices at restaurants change every single year. So you gotta look at the most updated menu, because sometimes I'm like, oh my God, that's so cheap. But that was from like 2017. Okay, so don't fall for that trap. So yeah, literally a lot of very detailed, almost extremist level kind of detailed research that I do to make sure everything we have sticks within budget. So if you look at my Excel sheet, which you have, Tiara has looked at my Excel sheet, you will realize that in my remarks column or something, I would say, okay, over here, we're gonna order like one pizza. We have a budget for like a pizza, a main, a drink, you know, and this is the estimated price of a pizza. This is the estimated price of a main. This is the estimated price of a drink.
She is not kidding.
I am not. Yeah, I wish I were. I really wish I were. I'm gonna sound insane right now. But yeah, I'm not. So things like that. It's really looking into every single thing that you can. Obviously, I get a lot of recommendations as well from social media, TikTok, Instagram, which is how our destinations mostly come about as well. I see something and I'm like, oh my God, I want to go there. And then make it work.
Does your husband contribute in any way to the travel planning, or he's just like, I think we have our answer.
I mean, I do run by things with him because obviously we travel, right? But he's a really chill guy. So he's the kind of person that would be like, oh, I'm fine with anything. And he genuinely means it, you know? If there are specific things that he wants to do, like in Prague, he really wanted to go to sorry, I barely paid attention to that museum. I don't even know what that was, but he really wanted to go to this like Nazi museum thingy-mabob. And so, yeah, I fit it in. But that's pretty much as far as it gets when it comes to, yeah.
Have you always planned your trips this way?
No, actually. I would say all thanks to my best friend from uni. We planned a trip to Bangkok together. I think it was to watch the Blackpink concert. And I remember I just had like a Word document of, you know, day one, let's just do this is this, eat here, you know, just point form. Very, very simple, very easy to read. And she's a corporate girly. Okay, she's always been like that since our first internship in uni. And she's really good with spreadsheets and, you know, being very meticulous and detailed. So she kind of introduced me to this new world of planning and being organized on your computer. So I think I kind of picked up from there. And then it just got worse. I don't know if worse is the right word, but I spiraled, right? So hers was pretty straightforward. It was like, hey, day, time, you know, price and stuff like that. And now for me, if Tara's seen my spreadsheet, it's really a whole life story. Yeah.
Would you ever delegate this role to someone else? Or are you like, no, I've got this?
No, I think I've got this. Cause like, okay, I'm a Virgo. Okay, I am a control freak and I am a perfectionist.
Oh my gosh.
So, I think like when I travel with friends, they always offer to help, you know? They're like, are you okay? It seems like there's a lot you gotta do and stuff. And I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, nobody freaking touch my sheet. In fact, I would not make anybody an editor. They will just be a viewer until it is done. When it is done, then they can, you know, play around with it.
You are amazing. In your friend group, how do you manage what everyone wants to do? Like, or the different personalities that are traveling with you on a trip?
So, I mean, I am always the designated planner because I am almost always the person who says, let's go on a trip. I am the person that would, you know, create the group chat and be like, Bali 20.
Rename the group chat.
I am that person, yeah. And I'm still at that age where my friends have just started working, you know, or they've just finished post-grad or whatever, and maybe still not working yet. So budget is always an issue for everybody. And it really started from traveling with my friends first because it used to be really just budget. I'm talking like 100 ringgit a night for like 4 or 5 people in a room in Bangkok type of thing, okay? Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It was actually quite decent. Yeah, so with everybody else, I'm the one who still does the main planning because they're usually like, okay, this is our budget. If you really want to go on this trip, you make it work. And I'm like, oh yes, sis, I will make it work type of thing. So I usually get everyone's input first. So I'll ask them like, okay, so this is obviously the place that we're going. Everyone just tell me what you want to do. And then I generally try to fit everything in a way that's most efficient to cover everyone's interests and everyone's, ideas and stuff while still having a trip that is time saving, which is very important because you don't want to do like place A, place B, then you come back to place A when you were already there before. And yeah, so that's pretty much how it works.
It sounds like your main tip is plan and research.
It is. It is really, really. Yeah. I like to spend my pastime looking at Google Flights.
Okay.
Just to, keep myself on my toes. You never know when a cheap flight will come about. And I saw these flight tickets for like 360 ringgit round trip to Taiwan, which I thought was insane because that's usually what I paid to go to Singapore, which is like a 35, 40-minute flight away from KL, right? So I randomly told my friends, oh my God, we should go to Taiwan.
How can I be added to this group chat? Asking for myself.
And it was like should we go next week type of thing? Because, okay, surprisingly, sometimes flight tickets are cheaper really close to the date. It really depends on your luck, right? So this was a matter of, oh, next week the tickets were this price, but I think everyone had commitments and stuff. So we actually went on our trip 2 weeks after once again this idea was just like brought to life. As you can tell from that trip, we only had about 2 weeks to plan. And I was collecting ideas from everyone. It was like a group of 5 people, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously I needed to get this done sooner so that everyone can check through it and make sure, yep, I'm okay with this, I'm good with the budget, everything that I've wanted to do is in the list as well. So I think it took me about a week to maybe like 6 days max or even less because we still had to buy our flight tickets and stuff. So I think I was treating it like it was like a full-time job at one point. I was also not fully working then. So yeah, my schedule was pretty chill.
So how many trips are you going on in 2025?
The most exciting part about getting this job was I was thinking
SGD.
I'm like, wow, 4 euros is only, how many SGD? It's almost like a 1-to-1 conversion, right? So for the time being, I only have 21 days of leave. My boss, if you hear this, know that leaves are really important to me. I will do my absolute best at my 9 to 5, but like, if you want to give me more, that's perfectly fine. Coming back to your question, I'm hoping to go on at least like 3 to 4, maybe 5 or 6. Maybe like 2 big ones and 4 small ones.
Okay, 21 days though.
Yeah, I'll make it work.
Okay.
Public holidays.
Public holidays. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about those. With such an extensive and detailed itinerary, how do you handle when things don't go as planned?
Here's the one thing about planning. I'm an absolute advocate for it. I fully stand by it. I think it's really important to plan, but also life doesn't always go your way. You can plan as much as you want, but sometimes things happen. Obviously, when you plan, and you're really looking into it, you would consider things like the weather. You would, realize that this museum is closed on Sunday, so you're not going to go there on Sunday. Things like that, they definitely do help minimize the risk of disappointment. But something that I've learned along the way is that you should not get lost in your plans. Okay, I was talking to Tiara about this. This is something that really I do hold quite close to my heart. I notice when we travel or when whatever it is that you're doing, where you've really put a lot of time and effort and money into it, we tend to we want the best outcome, right? Because it's like your baby. For me, every trip I do is like a child that I'm birthing, because so much my heart and my soul and everything is poured into it. And it can be disappointing when, things don't always work out. But at the end of the day, when you do travel, it's about being in a new place. I think the most important thing is really being present and grounded. Okay, sorry, my therapist side is coming out right now.
It's completely fine. We welcome it.
Present and grounded and mindful, and just recognizing that I'm so privileged to be in a new space, in a new city. And, even if I'm not doing what I plan to do, I'm still doing something novel that I'll never get to do at home. It's the same thing where they say being sad and depressed in Bali is so much more fun than being sad and depressed at home, right? Travel is a great form of therapy.
You don't even have to go so far to travel, right?
Yeah, no.
You just have to go to new places and meet new people at the end of the day.
If that is something that, resonates with you, if that's something that's important to you, then do that. If, not everyone likes to travel. I have realized that as well.
Yeah.
Do what's right for you. Do what feels right for you. But yeah, on that note, I also did say I'm a huge advocate of planning, right? So that was about how do you manage the disappointment of things not turning out right, which will happen. Okay, you got to be ready for that. But based on past experiences, I would say the planning is so important because in the past, coming back to the fact that my husband and I are absolute foodies, I really put a lot of thought into finding restaurant recommendations, what to eat, local cuisines and stuff like that. And sometimes we get really tired, and we're like, oh no, I don't want to walk like 30 minutes to this restaurant. And we're not going to take an Uber or Grab because we're still budget. We've been disappointed a few times when we come across things that are, you do check the reviews before you go in and you're like, yeah, it's not too bad. But yeah, I have been disappointed a few times. So things that are within your control, do what you can. If it's out of your control, it's okay, sometimes let it be. But what you can do is you can plan ahead where you want to eat, what you want to do at 7 a.m. on the 27th of March.
Would you be willing to allocate like 30 minutes in your itinerary to just be empty?
Oh, I mean, okay, based on my itinerary, which Tiara has seen, it does look quite intense. It looks very busy. It looks very hectic. But actually within each spot, I do leave, I wouldn't really call it like free and easy time, but it's more of like I leave a lot of time for each location because I know sometimes when you go to one place, you're not just there for that one place or within that one place, maybe just the walk on the way there, you come across something that's really nice, right? So for example, in Prague, which I just posted about on my Instagram, made me all warm and fuzzy just thinking about it. We were meant to just do a simple walk from Prague Castle down to this gingerbread shop where they sell gingerbread. I'm not the kind of person where it's like, okay, you know what? At like 10:50, we need to leave here and go there now. It doesn't really work for me as well because generally in my itineraries, I don't really set a time, right? If you look at it, I'm not the kind of person who does like 8 a.m. wake up, 9:30 a.m. leave hotel. Okay. I rarely ever put times. It's usually just morning, noon, and night, unless it's something where we have to be there because we got a slot at that particular time, Other than that, I'm pretty flexible when it comes to things in between. It's just making sure everything flows very smoothly, right? As I mentioned, you don't want to waste time going back and forth between places when you're already in that area, or you don't want to be eating like 30 kilometers away from your last place when there's nothing else there type of thing. So with the gingerbread story, we were walking down from Prague Castle to this gingerbread shop, which is very nice. But along the way, Google Maps, and this was totally unplanned as well, Google Maps took us through this park that was so beautiful. I think it was like twilight time, so maybe about like 4 or 5. The sun was like almost gone, but not fully gone. And obviously it was not in my itinerary to be there, but my husband and I were like, oh, this is so pretty. And we just sat there. We took lots of pictures, of course, because, for the Instagram. But yeah, it was really nice to just be there. And sometimes you come across these hidden gems, right? And that's the best part of traveling as well. That's the good part about the not planning thing. You come across things that you had no intention to come across. And sometimes you need that surprise. That surprise makes your trip even better, right? Because you weren't even looking forward to it, but then you come home with this new memory unlocked of sitting amongst ducks, looking at the river.
Listening to you talk makes me feel you don't have to just be one thing. When the word planner comes to mind, I think somebody who's very meticulous, very hard up on their plans. Like, no, there's no room for negotiation. This is what we're doing. And you don't really know how to let go and, like you said, be present. So hearing you talk about it, I'm just like, we are all like on a spectrum. We don't have to just like... So if you're not present, you're not going to remember the trip.
No.
It's just going to be...
It's going to be something that you're checking off,
Yeah. Like,
boxes you're ticking. Honestly, I've never regretted a trip in my life. And that's coming from someone who's had cockroaches fall on her shoulder. Okay, yeah, I told you sometimes we take the budget too hard. Okay, and that's why now I've decided I'm going to be budget bougie. Okay, I just can't do that anymore. I'm not like 15.
I just want to. I'm just trying to imagine where was this and how.
Oh, this was in Koh Lipe.
Okay. Thailand.
Yes, same best friends that I traveled with that we went to Bangkok. We loved going to Thailand, I guess. Yeah, it was like a shoulder season, and obviously that was cheaper accommodation, cheaper activities, everything's cheaper because it's not like peak time, right? So it was kind of like the trail end of their monsoon coming into summer, like hot season. And so cockroaches apparently don't like the rain. They like to seek shelter, like in your little wooden huts that the humans stay in. And so on the first night, I came back and I was like, what is that on the wall? What is that beautiful black and yellow bug? By the way, beautiful was sarcasm. Okay, I absolutely hate insects. I am scared of anything that flies. But I'm like, okay, you know what? It's fine. I'm just going to pee, right? So I'm peeing in the toilet bowl. The bug is there. And then guess what? My friend comes in. She looks at it and she's like, he's got cockroach qualities. Okay, literally the word she uses is cockroach qualities. You know, cockroach feet have like those little filler stuff that stick out from the legs and whatnot. I wish I could show you a picture. Okay, Google a harlequin cockroach.
Okay.
It's black and yellow, and it doesn't look like your typical cockroach, but it is a cockroach. Okay, so that's when we realized, well, okay, this is our life. And then the whole night there were a few cockroaches coming in and out. It didn't help that it was like a wooden hut. Cockroaches are brown. Hut is brown, our blankets were brown. So we threw all the blankets on the floor. I slept with like a tiny decathlon microfiber towel, like squeezed my entire body under the tiny thing all night. Then it got worse because one of my good friends, okay, you know who you are when you watch this, she decided she's going to shield talks the outside of the bungalow, the hut.
The outside?
Before the inside. So she thought maybe if I spray the outside, I guess, they're gonna repel from the house. They're not gonna come in. But the truth is, they already live there, okay? They already live in the cracks of the roof and stuff. And so when she sprayed in the outside, I guess they got dizzy. I don't know. Maybe Shield Tox does work on cockroaches. So all the cockroaches that were from the roof, they all started to fall down. And I remember I was wearing a bikini, okay? The moment I took off, I was wearing like an overall shirt. The moment I took off that shirt to go to the toilet to bathe, something falls on my shoulder. And I'm like, ooh, what is that? I look down and there's a typical brown cockroach there. Take a broom, I whack it. Our neighbor, who we called Bulgarian Jesus, because he was from Bulgaria.
Okay.
And he looked like Jesus. He came in. He's like, whoa, are you guys okay? What are you screaming about? I'm like, there's cockroaches. And he's like, oh, you know, it's fine. It's like God's nature, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, get out of here. And then it just got worse, you know. Another one fell again on my shoulder. It happened twice within a span of like 10 minutes. Another one when my friend was sitting on the floor, like low-key hyperventilating, tried to crawl up her leg. I don't think me and my other friends slept at all that night because we were on like patrol duty. Okay. You know, I don't want to talk about this anymore. It was so traumatizing, but now it's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
We talk about it almost every time we meet. I remember that night itself, one of my friends was like, I am so done. I don't want to stay here anymore. Why did we book this place? Like tensions were up, you know, tensions were up.
Did you book this place?
I did book this place. I did book this place. In my defense, it looked really good on booking.com and it was so dirt cheap.
Is this where you were still budget M and not bougie budget M?
Yeah, I'm usually more bougie budget with my husband or like another group of friends that has better budget. You know, me and my other two best friends, we like try to budget to the max. By the way, that entire like five or 6 day trip we did to Koh Lipe and Langkawi, I think it was like 1,300 ringgit. Once again, booked pretty last minute.
Of all the places you've been to, which place is the best place to bougie budget and why?
Okay, I have been to quite a number of places. Looking at information-wise, I would say Vietnam is quite a decent place. But at the top of my head right now, which I can kind of concur, I can't say if it's the best, but definitely a good place to bougie budget would be Indonesia. Every time we go to Bali, Bali is what you want it to be, right? It can be so ridiculously expensive, it can be so ridiculously cheap, but it can definitely be bougie budget. Like, we stayed in a really, really nice hotel. I think this is not in Bali, in Lombok, for like $250 a night, you know, which realistically in KL itself, I would just get like an Airbnb for $250. Most of our hotels are a lot more than that for that kind of level. Cafes and stuff, I think you wouldn't spend more than 20 to 25. I know Bali has gotten a lot more expensive recently, but there are lots of nice places in Indonesia. We loved the Gili Islands. We loved Lombok as well. We love Komodo. But yeah, I would definitely say that is a good place to start for you.
Okay.
Beach clubs, you know, you feel so damn bougie there.
It's not expensive, beach clubs?
Depends on where you go.
Okay.
Like, there were a couple of places where I don't think we spent more than like 100 ringgit per person. I don't think so.
Okay.
Also depends on how much alcohol you drink.
Okay.
So don't
That's
really
fair.
drink too much, yeah.
That's fair.
So I save money there. Rather spend money on fries and nuggets and canapes.
Were you good at planning trips from the very get-go? Like, I know you said you had like a Word document, but even with a Word document, do you think you planned well?
You know, I really don't want to blow my own horn, but I think I was, you know. Friends, I don't know, leave a comment below if you think I've been a good planner. I would say one of the first few trips that I really properly planned with my friends was right after the pandemic. We went to Bali, and obviously when things first opened, everything was so expensive. Like a flight to Bali is usually about, you know, $350 to max or so you pay is like 405, right? Right after the pandemic, we paid 1,000 ringgit for a 3-hour flight to Bali on a certain low-cost carrier. It was tough as well because at that time I was still doing my master's, okay, with my friends. And if you are a clinical psychologist, you know it's a extremely intense, grueling program that takes a lot out of you. So we were preparing for our exams, our thesis. It was like a end of semester kind of trip, and yeah, we were juggling that. I remember me and one of my other friends, we would get on like FaceTime calls every day. There were 4 of us going. The 2 of us kind of worked, I guess, hand in hand to get things together. And we would call, you know, we would finish our assignment or finish whatever we were doing. And then we would get on a call and we would talk about the trip. Almost every day, I remember, from like 9 p.m. to like 12 p.m. Like, oh my God, we have to see clients tomorrow. We have class tomorrow. Okay, let's wrap it up. Let's start planning this trip. So I think I've been always pretty good, you know, even though what you see visually was very simple, very
Basic.
straightforward. There was still a lot of time and effort and heart poured into what we were doing. Yeah, just maybe like less details.
What would be your biggest tip for somebody who wants to start bougie budget traveling?
Honestly, it always comes back to the planning. I know we said this a lot today, but if you don't plan, it's practically impossible to stick to a budget. Okay. Don't think I mentioned this already, but I did have a friend who she traveled to someplace in China recently, just for like 5 or 6 days, and I think she told me she spent about 5K plus. Okay, compared to the 7K that we spend in Europe,
For double
right?
the time.
Yeah, really far away. So she was telling me that, wow, really, it's like so important that you plan. And she said, first of all, she didn't really enjoy the trip because they didn't really plan anything. It was kind of something they said, okay, let me, we go there and we, you know, explore. And if you're the kind of person that, you know, you're perfectly fine doing that and you enjoy that, go ahead. You know, like I am not against that in any way. But based on experiences from myself and people around me, they have also said, I liked it when I went on your trip that you planned, you know, it was better, it was more put together. I felt like my time was well spent, especially because when you're in a new country, and you're not like living there, right? You know, maybe you have 5 days, so you have 6 days or max like 2 weeks, right? You want to make the most out of your time there. And so the planning is really important. The bougie part, I would say, I guess that depends on what bougie is to you. So for us, I still get to go to nice cafes, you know. Yeah, there are days where we eat like a kebab from the roadside, which is still really good, by the way, okay, because I'm not going to rock up at some random 1-star kebab shop. But yeah, I wanted to go have fancy hot chocolates and, pastries and cakes at like cafes that charged maybe like 20 euros for a plate of apple strudel. There are days like that, but for me that was the bougie element, right? Because I like that. I like food and I like being in Renaissance looking pretty places and feeling like a tie. Um, so yeah, it all boils down to what's important to you. And when you plan it all out using Plandora,
Oh, wow. Thank you.
using Plandora, it can definitely work. And I'm not just saying that, okay, because I've been called onto a Plandora podcast. The biggest issue with the Excel sheets, which you have seen, is it's very wordy sometimes. And there's so much additional research that I have to do on my own. And obviously, I've tried Plandora as well, right? Tiara introduced it to me, and I was really happy with what I got. It was very visually appealing. I feel like things that would take up a lot of time, like searching, oh, what time does this place open? Okay, wait, which day should I put it in? What should I wear here? What do I expect in this place? All of that really comes together just with Plandora. So it saves a lot of time, and I really wish I had that app when I was planning our previous Europe trip. But rest assured, I will be using Plandora for any of my upcoming
Thank you,
trips.
Em. At the end of the day, Plandora was built for people like you as well, who spend so much time and effort into planning that we want to make sure you enjoy the trip.
Yeah.
You can minimize the time and effort spent there and have more time planning more trips.
Yeah, so I use predominantly TikTok and IG, which I would say is sometimes kind of like, I think I mentioned this earlier very briefly, but that's sometimes like that little spark that gets me thinking, oh, I want to go on a trip now, or next week or 2 weeks.
Because it's visual, like you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah, so like for instance, it's 2025. Last year, I saw this video of the Komodo Islands. Have you heard of the Komodo Islands? Yeah, I've never heard about them until I saw that video. And I was like, my goodness, that is so gorgeous. I want to go there. And I would have never known about this place, to be honest, if it weren't for Instagram, TikTok. I can't remember where I saw it, right? And yeah, I would say a lot of the times we see these things that are going around in other parts of the world, and we realize, oh, that's so different from me, or that's so pretty, and I want to be there. And I guess another great thing about Plandora is that that's where it starts with the planning, which is where it starts for me, right? If you've seen our other video, you know that my main complaint with that is with my previous trips, I would just like or save it on these platforms. And then, because, I'm on it, I'm looking for a lot of recommendations and stuff. It gets lost. And then I'm wasting even more time scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, looking for that one video of whatever it was that I wanted to add in.
Pancakes.
Pancakes was among many other, missing gems right now. So yeah, the good thing about Plandora as well is that literally from there, I can just straight away DM it to the company website.
The Plandora,
the platform. And it saves it there for me. So yeah, it helps you from the source.
If any of you listening or watching this have any questions for Em on the Move, for Em here, let us know in the comments, and we will definitely have her back when she's here from Singapore.
I will come back so that I can spend my SGD and ring it.
SGD!
But thank you so much for having me.
Thank you,
It
Em.
was fun. Maybe we should do a trip one day. Yes, I am inviting Tiara.
I feel so honored. I feel this is what we should do. You should plan a trip, and I should plan a trip after I've experienced your trip. And then you can grade me.
That sounds like a plan. We'll be back
We'll be back.
for the next season.
Thank you. Bye!
Bye!
Oh my gosh, we should do that. We should do a
We
trip.
should plan a
We
trip.
should do a trip.